Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And on this pleasant Sunday, well, it's getting on towards lunchtime now, we have a great story involving a poll and the SNP. And indeed, I think it's the worst poll so far. I think all the revelations that are coming out through the COVID inquiry are opening the eyes of people, particularly SNP supporters who appear to be abandoning the party in ever higher numbers. And that's something we all can rejoice in, because the latest figures make for an astonishing claim. It is the highest yet, abandonment, if you will. And it goes to show how deeply in trouble the SNP are. I think Humza Yousaf this morning will be sitting there looking at these numbers and going, what on earth do I have to do to reverse this trend? Well, I can sort this out for you, Humza. Listen to this. A little bit of advice. What happens is this. You resign and leave politics and get Kate Forbes to come in and take over the party. And that way you may just stop that leeching away of votes, and you may even get a few back. It won't help you much, but it will at least cut the losses a little bit. But certainly while you're at the helm, the party is doomed. Let's have a look at this, and let's have a look at the numbers, and let us rejoice. Here goes. So yeah, this is let's say this is the worst poll ever for the SNP, because it is the first poll, and there have been many bad ones, of course, but this is the first one that shows that they are likely to lose 30 seats at the next general election. 30. That's incredible. It goes to show how deeply embattled and in trouble these people truly are. Who would have thought there'd be such a complete reversal of fortune in such a short time? Just think, it hasn't been a year yet since he's taken over. For years, there was this huge dominance by the SNP, from Alex Salmond through Sturgeon. And then you get Useless in charge, and the whole thing falls apart in less than a year. But that's not surprising. He's failed at every job, so why shouldn't he fail as a leader? Although, to be fair, he's done one good thing. He's kept the seat nice and warm for Kate Forbes to sit in. New poll, well, this is great, isn't it? New poll shows SNP heading for election bloodbath, and Holyrood set to return to unionist rule, and that will break the hearts of everyone in the SNP. And I shall watch as the tears flow down and into the Clyde, routing out and cleansing the Clyde, if you will, putting all those salty tears of the nationalists away. Humza Yousaf is set to be the man who will oversee the end of nationalism as a political force in Scotland, and with the Nats set to lose 30 MPs and then be ousted from power at Holyrood. The man who is so much of a failure, literally so much of a failure in his job, that he's not only going to lose the election, he's going to destroy nationalism. They are going to be wiped from the map. It will be the end of the SNP. He will be their last leader. And that, I think, is a fitting tribute for a man who's failed at everything. That his final failure is the destruction of the party that he has given his life to. What a clown. We are through the looking glass, though, aren't we? Anyway, Humza Yousaf is set to face more questions over his leadership of the SNP, as a major new opinion poll showed he's on course to lead his party into a general election disaster. Yet previously it was neck and neck with Labour. Now it's not even close. The survey for the Sunday Times predicted that Labour will comfortably overhaul the Nats as Scotland's biggest party at Westminster, with 28 MPs handing Keir Starmer a major boost in his bid to obtain the keys to number 10. The SNP, who won 48 seats in 2019, would plunge to just 18. 18. That is... And that's as the poll stands. Tactical voting. You can get them down now. Just needs 8 more. You can get them down to single figures. 9 more. You can get down to single figures. Tactical voting, guys. Get them out. Whip them. And with only 9 single-figure MPs, they'll get so little money from the Westminster lists, they will be bankrupt. Isn't it fantastic? And you have to ask, who's going to go? What names are going? Anyway, this is literally, they're just saying that last raft of big names will be going. The research by Norstat, which recently acquired the polling firm Panel Base, put Labour on 36% of the vote, up 3 since the last poll in October. The SNP on 33, which is down 4. So, I mean, that's a 3.5% swing to Labour from the Nats. And as more revelations come out, as more knowledge is made clear, as more things are revealed, that can only increase. It's just astonishing, isn't it? Anyway, the poll put the Conservatives on 16, down 2, and Lib Dems were unchanged on 7. However, analysis by Sir John Curtis, the polling expert and Professor of Politics at Strathclyde University, suggested the Tories will hang on to 6 Scottish seats and the Lib Dems on 5. Scotland will lose 2 MPs under the boundary changes that come into effect just prior to the election. The survey of 1,007 people aged 16 and over in Scotland, conducted between January the 22nd to 25th, also suggested that almost 2 decades of damaging nationalist rule would come to an end in the next Holyrood election, currently scheduled for 2026. I'm going to hold fire on that. I'll tell you why in a minute. The SNP would still be the largest party, returning 47 MSPs. This is the Holyrood elections, by winning 36% in the constituency vote and 30 on the regionals. The Greens are on course for 10 MSPs, leaving the nationalist parties short of the 65% required, of the 65 seats rather, required for a majority. Labour would have 40 MSPs, the Tories and 24, and the Lib Dems 8. That's clearing the path for Anna Sarwar to enter Bute House at the head of a minority Labour-Lib Dem alliance with informal support from the Tories. And I think that's what happens. Labour will do that. Anna Sarwar will offer a full formal agreement with the Lib Dems, give the Lib Dems, a couple of minor ministries to go, and then come in and beg the Tories and say, look, we've got to have this because we've got to get the Nats out for the good of Scotland. And I believe Craig Hoy will stand on that. I think he would be willing on a supply basis to stand with them on an unofficial, joint government, as it were. His cost will be a couple of things. He'll say, right, we want this and we want that and we want that. That's fine. You can put them through. They'll get a few things and it will go. And you'll get the Nats out. That's in theory according to these figures. However, and this is where I'm going to just say one thing. By the time the Holyrood elections come, of course, you'll be mid-term with a Labour government. And of course, with midterms, there's always that voting against the current government. So there may well be a small swing back to the SNP. Will it be enough? Who knows? It's going to be a lot closer, I think, than perhaps Curtis says, but we don't know. Let's see. So it's still 2 years away, isn't it? 2.5 years away. Anyway, the Times said the poll is Labour's strongest poll showing in Scotland since the day after the independence referendum in 2014. The strongest poll in 10 years for Labour. With the constitutional question almost neck and neck, 48 oppose independence, 47 in favour, 4% unsure. So John said Skexiteers were continuing to pivot towards Labour. And it must always be said, of course, that is a false dichotomy of yes and no. Change it to Remain and Leave, and it will undoubtedly be Remain much, much higher. It is the built-in bias of yes to no. So if you change it to Remain or Leave, it does always produce, and other polls have shown this, it always produces a much more Remain-centric vote. He said, whereas at the end of 2022, he said, shortly before Nicola Sturgeon's resignation, 80% of current Yes supporters were saying they would vote in an SNP. I'll start that again, shall I? Reading is hard. He said 80% of current Yes supporters were saying they would vote for the SNP in a UK general election. But that figure now has fallen to a new low of 63%. That is amazing, isn't it? It's gone from 80%, 4/5 to just 2/3. That's a massive loss. And that is why Labour are so resurgent. That's why they have the momentum. And that is why they are going to slaughter the SNP at the general. He said the SNP need to overcome two key problems. The first is the relative unpopularity of Humza Yousaf. That's easily solved, Humza. And about 1 in 4, 26% of those who voted SNP at the last Westminster election in 2019 believe he is doing a bad job as First Minister. So over a quarter of his own party think he's crap. What does that tell you? They appear especially likely to be unwilling to vote SNP again. He is personally costing the SNP votes. Therefore, the backbenchers, those who's, certainly the Westminster ones, those who know that they have to do something about him are starting to. They need to get rid of him. Anyway, with Starmer now increasingly likely to be the UK's next Prime Minister, brackets for a short period of time, close brackets, Sir John added, Labour's appeal to Yes supporters to kick the Tories out of office may well be having some resonance. I think it probably is. The trouble with the Tories is a lot of Tory voters don't want to vote Tory either because of who their leader is. Isn't it strange? There's a man living on borrowed time. And there's a man next to him who's also living on borrowed time, I suggest. Humza will be gone very soon, probably before Easter. Keir Starmer will be gone very shortly after becoming Prime Minister. There'll be a coup in the Labour Party and they'll put a left-winger in. And it wouldn't surprise me if old illiterate Angela Rayner became the Labour Prime Minister. Anyway, I shall come up. So it's a bad day for Humza Yousaf, which is a good day for everyone else. Whenever it's a bad day for the SNP, Scotland must feel a little bit better. Not that I'm saying a Labour government will be any better. Of course, they'll just be different. Same circus, different clowns. But at least with Labour, they're not going to be constantly looking at everything through the prism of independence. So who knows? They might even get one or two things right. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.